Good evening, folks. This is a video blog entry that I decided to make tonight to talk about best of intentions. Sometimes in life our best laid plans and best intentions can blow up in our face. Even if you don't have any initial negative or nefarious thoughts or actions planned in your mind, sometimes things just develop and turn out to be bad situations regardless of your best intentions. I'd like to tell a story right tonight about how I came to almost losing one of my lifelong friends and how I did lose a very good friend of mine. And this is one of those things in life that I don't know how, now looking back I see what I could have done, but at the time I don't know how I could have done any better. But hopefully sharing this story with you guys out there will help somebody else, possibly. That's always my intent, is sharing my experiences will help somebody else that may have gone through something similar or may prevent them from having to go through the same kind of thing that I went through. Well, once upon a time, long ago when I was much younger and I was still living with my parents, just out of high school, a good friend of mine who had been like a brother to me. I've known his family for many years. He knew my family. We were very close. He was enlisted in the Marines, and he needed to go out to train with the 1st Marines who were stationed in Palm Desert and 29 Palms. He came to my work one afternoon. He introduced me to the newest girl he was dating. She was in a sorority at George Mason called Zeta Tau Alpha, and she was a very pleasant young lady. It was nice to meet her, and basically, since I was one of his most trusted friends, he told her that if there was ever a problem, to reach out to me if she needed anything, just to come to me while he was in his absence, and that I'd take care of it. And I had every intention of doing so for my boy, because that's how close we were. The problem came later when he had gone out to California, and basically his girlfriend, she called me a couple times just to chit-chat because she wanted to get to know his friends better. She liked to go out to clubs and dance, her and her friends, so I would accompany them. After a while, we became very good friends. We started to talk more and more on the phone, hang out more and more. Again, strictly platonic friendship. I thought nothing of her other than being my boy's girlfriend, and now she was becoming my friend, and she was also the sister of another friend of mine. At the time, it seemed harmless. There wasn't any problems. We relied on each other, but we kept getting closer and closer, and again, I didn't see any problem with it because there wasn't anything wrong. Soon this friend of mine, she flew out to California to visit my boy and spend time with him, things like that. I spoke to her while she was in California visiting him, and thought everything was okay. Eventually, several months later, my friend returned after training with the 1st Marines in 29 Palms, and there was a big problem. He was very upset at me, and he brought it to my attention. It's like being in a daze sometimes when you don't see things very clearly. He said, "Why was my girlfriend calling you from California when she was there to visit me and having 2- and 3-hour-long conversations with you?" And just then, like an epiphany, like a bolt from the heavens above, it hit me in the head. He's right. Why the hell was his girlfriend calling me? At the time, I didn't think anything of it because we were just friends and we had established this bond. But from his perspective, immediately I felt shamed and wrong, and I apologized to him. So I panicked because I realized I was doing something wrong. I felt ashamed. I felt like I betrayed him and betrayed his trust. But at the same time, I have this friend that I care dearly for, that we've established a very close friendship over the last, I think it was between 8 months to a year. But at the same time, I'm a man, and we have a code between guys that we don't break. And I was definitely in the wrong, so I knew what I had to do. I called my dear friend, my dear friend's girlfriend, who now was my dear friend as well, and I told her, listen, we can no longer talk. What we did was wrong. I didn't realize it until he called and said something about you calling me and talking to me for 3 and 4 hours while you're out to visit him. That's wrong. Our friendship has gone beyond what it was supposed to be initially. Please understand, and I'm sorry. I apologize that it had to be this way, but we can no longer be friends. She was upset. She started to cry. She said, and this is the part that shocked me, where it made it 100 times worse. And I'll never forget her voice that day. She was crying and she said, well, then I'll break up with him, because I value your friendship that much. I'd rather be friends with you than continue to date him if I have to choose between the two. And my mouth was in awe when I was on the phone. Literally, my jaw was dropped to the floor. And at that point, I didn't know what to do. I panicked. I was living with my parents still. I hung up on her and I said, don't ever call me again. She kept calling my house back repetitively. I told my stepfather that I didn't want to speak with her, not to call down to me and tell me that the phone was for me. And she cried and cried and cried. And I felt rotten to the core, for I felt I did something wrong to both my friend and his girlfriend, who was now my friend. And then I realized that during that time period, that somehow her and I guess, established feelings beyond just that of basic friends' feelings. And it was very evident to me that I had developed feelings for her and she had developed feelings for me. Now, we had never acted on those feelings, we never did anything sexually, never touched each other, did anything to cross the line. But it's obvious that she cared dearly for me and I cared dearly for her. But this was my friend who was like my brother. And I apologized to him repetitively and I wanted his forgiveness so bad, but he was so angry with me. He wouldn't hear it. I wrote him a letter, approached him at the gym, tried to hand it to him, he knocked it out of my hand. I didn't know what to do, so I withdrew from the situation. Several months later, a friend of mine was having a get-together at his house, and I went over, and she was there, and so was he. He stayed upstairs. She happened to walk by me, and as she walked by me, she just looked straight as if I wasn't there, and I was happy about that. I was like, good. And they're still together, and everything's okay. But as I said, sometimes the best intentions don't work out in your favor. You have to always look at every angle of everything. And sometimes you get wrapped up and you don't realize it. That was one of the biggest regrets, but I learned from that you just don't get involved with anyone that your friends are involved with. Like I said, there's certain guy code that every guy knows you live by. You don't cock block your boys, you don't date your boys' ex-girlfriends. Matter of fact, I even took it to the extreme. I wouldn't even date girls that my friends said they liked and didn't even date. Or if they called out a girl and said they liked that girl, then that was it. I didn't do it anymore. I actually did that on several occasions. I recall there was a couple of females that I liked that friends of mine would say, hey, hook me up with her, she's your friend. I knew I liked her and she liked me, but if they wanted her, then I would say, okay, go ahead and get a shot. But after that, you write it off. You don't go and date your friends' exes or girls that they've talked to, even if it didn't work out, because you don't want those kind of hard feelings between your friends. This was one of the biggest regrets, because to this day, I still feel very bad inside for what I did to both of my friends, his girlfriend and my friend, who's now passed away, and may God rest his soul. He eventually forgave me, thank God, and he definitely forgave me before he passed away, but I've never had a chance to ever express how sorry I was to my friend out there. If by some chance you ever happen to see this, you know who you are. As a matter of fact, no one knows this name, and you probably would be shocked that I still know it. Sharigeth. I am so sorry for what happened back then. I was young and naive. I didn't know any better. And I would have, if I could have done things all over again, I would have never allowed our friendship to get that developed, to disrespect your relationship with him, and to have caused that kind of turmoil for you guys and that turmoil between us even. You were a great person. I saw through your brother's page you now got married and have a child. And I'm so happy for you, and I hope that you're doing well in life and you're happy and you're healthy, and that your family's also happy and healthy. But I do ask you for your forgiveness, Shagiath, because it wasn't my intention ever to do anything negative to you. But again, like I said, this entry is about intentions. Sometimes you set out with the best of intentions, and I know your intentions were true, as were mine, and it turns into a bad thing. Thanks for the time for listening to my video blog this evening, folks. And Shagiath, I hope, again, that you're doing well. Thank you.